Hello everybody, Hot Feet Fitness family, welcome. I'm so glad to be here today. I'm taking advantage of my time and doing some extra training, so I'm excited to share this practice with you today and hopefully bring something fantastic to your day. So we're going to start standing today, and let's maybe wiggle the toes, stretch the toes out onto the floor. If you're not in bare feet, just do your best to kind of shift your weight a little side to side. And start to find your breath. And you might have a focal point, or you might let your eyes close depending on your comfort level. And start to feel the breath expanding into the space that you're in. And you become aware of the sounds, even outside of your space. Without trying to analyze or identify even the sounds, can you listen for something farther and farther away, the farthest sound? And now let's come back into this room and be aware of the sounds in this room that you're in. And just surround the space that you're in a golden bubble of light. And you're creating this sanctuary of just time and space here today. And this golden bubble of light, it's a protective light, a shield. And it does not allow any negativity into that space with you. And you can even set any distracting thoughts that you're ready to let go of outside of this bubble that creates our sanctuary. Take one more moment just to set any negative thoughts outside of this bubble. Anything that's ready to be let go of, any stressors or tension. And now come back into your body. And just be aware of how your body feels. Are there still places that feel a little tight in the body? Where is the weight? Is it more in the right foot? More in the left foot? More in the heel? And the toes? Breathe down into the feet. Now I'm going to start to bend my knees. And feel a little bit of navel pull, a little bit of abdominals turning on. And there's a sense of inhaling and lifting up through the ears, even though my knees are bent. And as I exhale, I kind of yield into that bent knee. Inhaling, we lift through the waist, we sort of lift through the ears, through the head. Exhale, we reach down into the earth. And I'm going to begin to swing my hips side to side. I'm just going to start to loosen up, release the hip. My knees can stay bent. And I'm just just swinging like a pendulum. So I could even imagine my tailbone kind of swinging side to side. And you might do it slowly, you might do it a little bit differently than me, that's okay. I'm just breathing whenever I need to breathe in and out through the nose, letting my hips swing like a pendulum. And as I swing my hips, I kind of feel how my feet move a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and step my right foot forward. And I'm going to turn so that you can see maybe how that looks. And then I'm going to return to the swing. So I've got my right foot forward. I'm going to turn to face you again. And I'm just going to continue that pendulum swing. My knees are soft. How does the tailbone move? And I put my hands on my hips, but they don't have to be there. And then let's bring the feet back together. And I'm going to try it to the other side. So now my left foot comes forward. So my left foot is staggered in front. And I'm going to let my knees be nimble. And I'm going to let my hips release into that pendulum swing. And I kind of feel or imagine that actual swing of the tailbone side to side. Now I've introduced a little forward and back as well, just for my leg positioning. I'm releasing the hips in a new way. Once I feel like I've got a little bit of a rhythm to it, a little fluidity going, and then I can bring my legs back together. And I'm going to try turning my knees and toes out. Same idea. So now my knees and toes are turned out, and I'm letting my pelvis swing like a pendulum. Now I'm going to tuck my left toes in and turn my right toes out. And it's a little bit, again, my knees bend a little bit. It's a little bit like Warrior 2 footprints, maybe a little shorter for like a triangle. My arms are going to start to move a little side to side. I'm still letting my hips go side to side. My left toes are slightly tucked in. My right toes are slightly turned out. Let's try it to the other side. So now we'll tuck the right toes in. We'll turn the left toes out. And I suspect the rhythm could be a little different on either side. Again, the knees can bend. My arms are swinging a little like a pendulum in front of the body. I'm just releasing the hips. Breathing through the nose, in and out. There's not so much effort here, right? It's not a muscular exercise. This is more of a hydrating exercise for our tissues. So when we go into our practice today, we feel really good. Already kind of ready to move. Now you can switch sides again, or you could stay on this side for a few more seconds. Let's do a little bit to focus on the arms. So I'm going to bring my feet together and I'm going to start to let my arms go. If I can, I'll keep my eyes focused on a spot. My ribs get to rotate. Again, my knees can be bent. Let's go ahead and bring the fingers to an interlaced position. And we'll push the palms forward and push the shoulder blades apart. And then we'll interlace hands behind and we'll squeeze shoulder blades together. Then we'll bring the hands in front, pushing the shoulder blades apart. And then we'll bring hands behind, drawing or squeezing the shoulder blades, those floating bones on the back of your ribs together. And we'll do it one more time. Pushing the shoulder blades apart. I'm just going to take off my sweater. Please keep going. And then bringing the shoulder blades together. And I'm going to step towards we'll call it the front of the mat. And bring my hands to the knees, like a half forward fold. And here I'm going to do my cat-cow. Now notice how you're breathing when you're moving and how you're moving with your breath. I'm going to invite you to switch it. So I was inhaling to come into the back bend, but now I'm going to inhale into the round spine and then exhale. Bring the spine forward into the back bend. And I'm going to inhale and puff my back up like an angry cat. And then exhale, sway forward. Now perhaps the opposite was actually true for you, so again, you're going on what you observed for your own breath and then doing the reverse of it. One more. And then go ahead and let your knees stay bent. Just let your upper body hang. Grab your opposite elbow. Gently rock side to side or swing. Again, like a pendulum in a way. Plant your hands, step your feet back, bend the knees into a little bit of a crouching dog. And see if you can kind of bounce into the ankles a little bit, bounce into the knees a little bit. Your heels don't have to go all the way down to the floor. I just want to create a little bit of a bounce here. And my feet are going to walk slightly back, and I'm going to bounce forward into plank from a crouching dog. And it happens relatively quickly, and I'm just breathing. I'm just going to do one more. And now I'm going to come into plank and come down onto my tummy. My hands could be slightly forward from my shoulders. And start to breathe into the back. Now I can use my hands to kind of create a little bounce through the front of the body. I just want to get a little massage on the front of the hips, on my chest. Maybe I even feel a little movement through that chest area. We don't get a lot of movement often through the heart. So this is about just getting some movement through your tissues to help them be hydrated, to help them be healthy. And I could use my feet to do this as well. Again, I want to feel the front of my thighs kind of moving, gliding against the floor. Maybe the front of the hip. And certainly the front of my chest. And now I'm going to press down into the tops of my feet and prepare to do a cobra. We're going to do a little different cobra today. We're going to draw the right shoulder back. It's sort of like a twisted cobra. And then we'll come down. Now let's do it again to that side. Right shoulder back. And this time I'm going to slide my left hand forward. Oh, feels so good. And then I'm going to come back. And let's try it to the other side. So now the left shoulder rolls back. We start to peep up or look up. And then we'll do it again, and this time we'll let that right hand come forward. And then we'll return. And we can kind of alternate sides. And I'm keeping my bottom rib on the floor, right? So I don't go so high as to cause compression in the lower back, right? In my legs, let's even get them a little wider. We'll bring the legs into it. So now my knees and toes are going to be turned out. And as I start to twist to the right, my left hand slides forward. My left ankle crosses behind my right. Let's do it again to that side. We'll rotate right. Left hand forward. Left leg crosses. And then I'm going to release it. And we'll try it to the left now. So I roll the left shoulder back, my right hand slides forward, I should still feel my ribs on the floor, and then the right foot comes behind, and then we can release it. We'll do it one more time to that side to get the feel for it. So I roll my left shoulder back, my right arm's forward, my right ankle crosses. Now I'll try it alternating sides. Last one. Now sliding the hands back, push up onto your hands and knees. And let's stay on hands and knees and do a variation of cat-cow. So you can slowly come back into a round spine, hips to heels. And then it's like you're going to circle your heart forward between the elbows and come up into that little bit of a back bend. And then as I shift my weight back, naturally the spine rounds. And then I'm going to circle the heart forward and come up into that gentle back bend. And shifting the weight back, naturally the spine rounds. Coming forward onto the elbows, naturally the heart shines forward. Now you can kind of feel this circular pattern of movement that's happening here, which means you can reverse it. And just breathe in and out through the nose. Let's meet on all fours, on hands and knees, and pause there. And I want you to allow your right hip to come towards your right shoulder and even look back at that right hip. And then slowly unwind. And let's do it again. We might even think ear to shoulder. It might feel a little different in the neck. And then release it. Now we'll try it to the other side. So I'll kind of let my left hip come to my left shoulder. I'm going to look back at that left hip. And then I'm going to release it. And maybe I try bringing my left ear to my left shoulder. And if one felt better than the other, you can continue alternating sides and either looking for the hip or bringing the ear to the shoulder. Now when the hip kind of wags to the right, I could take my left hand in front of my right hand, and then I could return it. And as my hip wags to the left, I could take my right hand and bring it in front of my left hand. Now I could also move my knees. And as my right hip comes forward, my right knee could come forward. As my left hip comes forward, my left knee could come forward. Sort of like crawling. Let's do one more time to either side. And coming back into your down dog, sort of that bent knee, crouching dog. I want to start to create a little bit of that bounce in my ankles and in my knees. I'm going to get ready to do plank. And I'm going to bring my right knee forward and then step it back. And then left knee forward, step it back. And I'm going into this crouch of a down dog. And again, thinking about how I'm going to create some spring, some bounce. And then let's come back into down dog. And I'm going to let my feet jump forward towards my hands and back. And I'm going to do that 10 times. Just 5, 4, 3, 2. Now step all the way front or jump. And hang. Bring the hands up to the shins, to the knees. See if you can flatten the back, maybe bend the knees a little bit, and then fold. And then circle the arms back. You can stretch up. And then if we come back into our first posture, our mountain pose, does it feel different? I'm going to turn to face you. And just breathe down into your feet. Maybe the ankles feel a little bit nimbler, right? Maybe the abdominals feel a little bit more toned, maybe looser. Better? So now I want to bring us into our standing posture sequence. And let's take the feet wide again. And tuck the left toes in and turn the right toes out. And with a little bend in the knees, can we find that pendulum swing through the hips? Feeling where your hips press to the back of the mat, to the front of the mat. And let's press the hips towards the back of the mat, towards that left foot. And find a little bit of a wave-like movement in our triangle today. So I sort of feel my ribs reaching over that right thigh. Just like a wave coming over the beach. My left arm is moving. It's sort of creating a whip-like movement, but much slower than that. And let's reach the left hand up towards the ceiling. Fold over that right thigh. See if you can wiggle your left fingers and tap your right foot. come back up. I'm going to bend into my right knee and tuck my right toes in. Bend into the left knee, turn the left toes out. Start with the pendulum of your pelvis, swinging forward and back. And I bend my knees. I like to make sure my knee's aiming in the same direction as my toes as well when it bends, so it's not rolling too much at the ankle. So now we'll push the hips towards the right foot, towards the back of the mat. And my right arm is free, my left hand is just sliding. And I'm going to let my left ribs sort of come down towards that left thigh in a wave-like movement. My right arm, like there's ribbons on my fingers, is really just moving as a product of that wave. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Just bringing something new into our triangle, right? And let's slowly come over that left thigh into our triangle and reach the right hand up towards the ceiling and begin to wiggle the right fingers and see if you can tap your left toes. And inhale. Slowly coming up. Let's tuck all 10 toes in. Swing the hips like a pendulum. So part of what kind of inspired this practice today was getting an opportunity to watch the videos and see some of my own asymmetry, which is fantastic. Press into both feet, slide your hands down the backs of the legs. And let the upper body hang. And slowly sliding the hands up the backs of the legs, shine the heart forward. Interlace the fingers if possible behind you. And as you fold again, arms reaching up towards the ceiling. And I'm going to let my hands pendulum swing gently across the ceiling. Releasing the hands. Lift the heart. Arms can reach wide out to the sides. And then slowly interlacing the fingers, step your feet together, bend the knees, right? If you can, have your legs all the way together. Scoop the belly back, press the palms forward, shoulders separate. And do it again here, kind of swinging right and left. I'm going to keep my fingers interlaced, squeezing my legs together. I'm going to lift my heart, lift through my chest, stretch up. Maybe I can create a little bouncy pendulum swing here. And I want to let my hips move. And I kind of want to feel a little elastic in my waist. Not too much, right? Elastic, a bounce. A bounce in the obliques. And we'll talk a little bit about that again later. So if it's confusing, that's okay. But I hope that you feel, again, it's not tensing. It doesn't go into the lower back. There's an elastic bounce. And it kind of gives you your edge. And it feels good. Like you could keep doing it for a little while. It doesn't feel like there's too much muscular effort, right? And then I'm going to step my feet wide again. I'm going to bend into my left knee and tuck my left knee and toes in. Bend into the right knee, turn the right knees and toes out. And I'm going to let my hips swing. And I'm going to let my arms swing. And I'm going to let my arms actually make a full circle. I'm going to come into that exalted warrior. And then I'm going to let my arms even swing back. And I'm going to twist to the left. And my left knee bends, and I might have to let my left toes turn out a little bit. And then I can turn my left toes. And I can come back up. I kind of want to let it be a swinging movement. My feet have to pivot a little bit. There gets to be a little bit of a bounce to it, especially if I go fast enough. Now, stay in the twist. You can kind of bounce into that right foot, wiggle your left fingers. And then slowly come down and return to that exalted warrior and release. Let's switch sides. So now I'll tuck my right toes in, turn my left toes out. Hopefully what you're starting to realize is that maybe there is a way to find that balance between effort and ease without just getting lazy or abusing our joints, right? So I've got an approximate warrior 2 footprint. My hips are swinging like a pendulum. My arms are swinging. And as I bend into that left knee, I'm going to circle my arms, both of them, so that I find a peaceful warrior, exalted warrior, right? So my arms should swing across my body. That right arm circles back to the right leg, and that left arm reaches up, right? The left knee is bent. And then I'm going to circle my arms down, plant the left hand and twist to my right. And my right knee bends, my right toes might have to turn out. So that gets a little tricky when I'm trying to do a little more of the bounce. And of course, one side's going to feel different. But there's still very much this impression of swinging the pendulum of the pelvis and the arms swinging and creating a little bit of momentum. And I feel like it takes me a few seconds, maybe more on one side than the other. And then I kind of find my bounce, if you will. Maybe we'll do a couple more. And then let's stay in the twist. And I'm going to bounce into my left toes, this will be interesting, and wiggle my right fingers. And then lowering the left toes, swing the arms into peaceful warrior, and start to come out. Bringing the feet together. Let's let the heels elevate and just create a little bounce through the body. And ideally, we're in good posture as we do this, right? I want you to keep bouncing for a moment, find a focal point. I'm stepping out of the frame. This might be a good moment to hydrate, because part of the reason why we do all of this movement is to make sure that the water we drink gets moved into our tissues. So now let's do a little bit more here. So I'm going to step my feet wide again. I'm going to turn my right toes out, tuck my left toes in. And I'm going to interlace my fingers behind my back, lift the chest, and just gently turn to the right. Lifting the heart up. Fold over that right leg. Lift the arms up. And that right shoulder comes inside the right knee. The head hangs, it really just drips towards the floor. And start to lift up halfway, letting the heart come up. Set the left hand down. Set your right hand down, maybe just fingertips. Slowly straighten that right leg and think about how you're going to push your shoulder blades apart. And then bend into that knee. And circle the left arm back to that left leg. Exalted warrior. Good. We're going to try that to the other side. Just a slow movement, preparing us for what will be our next bouncy flow. So once again, I've got that feeling of just where my pelvis is. And I can interlace the fingers behind and start to rotate through the waist towards that left bent knee. Keeping that left knee bent. Slowly fold onto that left leg. Bringing the hands towards the ceiling. And then lowering the arms, lift the heart. Circle the hand up into Exalted Warrior, right hand on right thigh, left arm overhead. And then come back. And stepping the feet together. So this next bounce will actually be very similar to the one that we did before, except this time we're going to add the balance piece. So that leg that was straight will now actually lift up into the air, okay? Some of us are visual people, so you might choose to watch me do it once, but I'll talk you through it many times. So the left toes tuck in, right toes turn out. I can kind of feel that swing of my hips. And I'm going to swing my right arm up into Exalted Warrior, left hand on left thigh. And that's where we start, and that's where we'll finish. And then I'm going to circle my arms down, bring them to the back of the mat, and now I'm going to lift my right leg up. And then I'm going to lower my right foot down and circle the arms into Exalted Warrior. My feet pivot some, but it's kind of, again, feeling that weight shift back. The weight sort of shifts forward, it shifts back, and we get that nice, almost slingshot lift. One more. See if you can hold it. Maybe we can even get a little bounce going. And then step into that right foot. Finish in Exalted Warrior. Interlace the fingers, fold inside of that right leg. Release the hands. Last Exalted Warrior to the other side. Tucking the right toes in, turning the left toes out. I'll take us through it slowly. Again, if you're visual, you might just watch. We'll circle the arms up
into that exalted warrior, right? And there's that pendulum swing. And then we're going to circle the arms down, plant them on either side of the right foot, left leg lifts. And then lower the left foot, we spring up into exalted warrior. Now one side feels like there's a lot more spring to it than the other side. And there's no judgment in that, just an observation, right? We bear witness. Breathe when you need to breathe. Lifting that left leg. Maybe we can give a little kick, a little bounce through that leg. So my left leg is lifting and I'm trying to give a little bounce to it, give a little pulse, if you will. And then lower the left toes. Walk the hands to the left. Exalted warrior. Interlacing the hands behind. Fold inside of the left leg. Head comes down towards the floor. Arms reach up to the ceiling. Coming up halfway, releasing the hands. Circle the right hand back to the right thigh. Left arm up, exalted warrior. And then releasing, stepping the feet together. Taking another moment to notice how you feel. Hydrating. You'll see me step out of the frame for a moment. So let's make the journey onto our backs, right? And I want to give you a visual, so don't just dive there. I want you to think, okay, it's starting to get warm outside, and like a popsicle, you're going to melt in the sun, okay? So how does a popsicle melt? We're going to come down to the floor. We're actually going to melt there. And melting doesn't just happen, one direction. Melting happens in all directions. And a little falling happens. We're just going to melt down onto our backs. And this was just intended to give us some variety to how we get up and down off the floor. So let's take the right leg up. And I'm just going to release that right hip a little bit for a moment. I'm circling in towards midline. I want to call it counterclockwise. And then I'm going to cross my right thigh over my left thigh. And I love being able to cross my right foot behind my left ankle if that's possible. My arms are going to open out to the sides. And I'm just going to rock a little side to side. And I'm on kind of the ball of my left foot, rolling across the sacrum. And there is that I want you to feel the edge where maybe there's a little oblique work. Again, it's not it's like a gentle push-pull, if you will. And you just want to stop right where you feel that edge. And I'm going to unwind my legs, and I'm actually going to circle my right knee in the opposite direction. So now I'm going what I would think of, I suppose, as clockwise. And I'm going to cross my right ankle over my left thigh. I'm actually going to flex my foot. And once again, I'm going to go side to side. And I kind of want to feel for that somewhat of a muscular response, right? Some sort of an edge, if you will, where you feel your muscles actually respond to catch you, right? It should be a natural response, not necessarily a delayed response or an overly tense, overly active, constant, right? And then let's release the right foot to the floor. And we'll take the left leg up and we'll circle the left knee in towards midline first, right? Because you know where we're going. We're going to cross the legs. But I'm not going to go there right away. I'm just going to circle my left knee so that we're crossing midline. And then, once I've got a few circles, I'm going to cross. Maybe I'll bring my foot behind. And then I'm going to rock. And we're feeling again for that edge, that muscular response to kind of catch our legs, which we're swinging, right? So I'm swinging my legs and I'm getting my abdominals to catch and bring me back. And then we're going to unwind the left ankle. Let's circle the left knee in the other direction. One more. And then I'm going to cross my left ankle over my right thigh. I'm actually going to flex my left foot. And now the same thing. I'm swinging my legs. I'm getting a little massage across my sacrum. And then releasing the left foot. I'm going to invite you to hug your knees in. And do a little rocking side to side. And then slowly let the feet come out. Turn your palms up. Roll your shoulders underneath you. Lift and tuck your hip flesh down to your heels. Let your feet fall out to the sides. And let's come back to that feeling of melting. And just imagining that your muscles have softened because now they are hydrated. They're a little healthier because they have new nourishing fluid moving through them. Stay here and rest.
You've earned it. Continue to lay on your back for maybe 10 more breaths, and that's where I'll leave you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you feel better. I know I do. I feel a little bit more hydrated through my body, a little bit more fluid. I wish you all well. Take your 10 breaths and be at peace. Namaste.